Welcome to MindGourmet. We just love to serve you food for thought. My name is Nina Kaiser and I am your host today. And now I'd like to welcome our guest, Natalie Ledwell. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Nina. How are you today, darling?
I am great. And how are you?
I am absolutely fantastic and looking forward to sharing some wisdom and having a chat with you
That's
on
wonderful.
today's call.
And before we dive into our conversation, I would like to introduce you to our audience.
Okay.
Natalie Ledwell is an authentic and internationally renowned motivational speaker, best-selling author, law of attraction guru, host of the Inspiration Show and Wake Up TV, and co-founder of the revolutionary personal development company Mind Movies. Her mission is to empower 10 million adults and kids all over the world to lead lives fulfilled with joy, happiness, and passion, the lives they were meant to live. In the last 9 years, Natalie and her team at Mind Movies have touched the lives of over 2.1 million people across the globe and are showered every day with their success stories. In her 2013 best-selling book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams, she shares her own personal life struggles to inspire the readers to overcome their limiting beliefs and step into the best version of themselves. Natalie is currently working on her brand new, groundbreaking program entitled PD for Kids, a powerful children's curriculum designed to help children establish a strong foundation for the rest of their lives. This program is currently being taught in the most poverty-stricken areas of Colombia to 10,000 children, as well as in Dubai, Australia, and in the US. Natalie, are you ready to dive into our first question, or would you like to add something to my introduction?
No, ready, steady, spaghetti. Ready to dive in.
Okay, let's get started. We've just heard it. You are an incredibly successful woman today who contributes so much inspiration and value to so many people. Can you take us on a little journey with you to make us understand how you got to where you are now in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that normally we're born with a certain type of personality trait, or we are more inclined to do certain things. And when I think back to when I was even a child, like I was always someone who would champion the underdog. I was always stick up and give a voice to those people that didn't have one. I'd always, be championing, causes that I thought was, worthy to do that. So that's because that was my personality, or because I'm an Aquarian, or whatever reason that is. I was sort of more, predisposed to doing this kind of work. And my first career was actually in the fitness industry. And so I spent 11 years working in fitness and, learning personal development. I was given my first set of cassettes when I was 21 years old by one of my bosses, by a gentleman by the name of Brian Tracy. And so that was my beginning of my education into personal development and how to think positively, and how we can create this, our own reality despite what's going on in the world around us. And so from a young age, I started learning. And then after 11 years in fitness, I met my husband, and we went on a whole 10-year odyssey of all these different businesses. And then in 2007, a friend of ours showed us this little movie that he'd created, which was a combination of affirmations, photos, and music. So it was his version of a vision board to help him visualize himself in the future he wanted, but it was moving and it was dynamic and it had music and it was fantastic. And then he approached us and said, to create a website so we could put up the instructions so people around the world could create these movies for themselves. So we went from that moment in time where we knew nothing about the internet. We had 4 other businesses, so we needed another business like a hole in the head. We just learnt what we had to. We came to the US, we joined a mastermind group, we did our first big launch in September of 2008. So at that time, that's when, the economic crisis hit the planet. A lot of people were losing their homes, they were losing their jobs, they were losing a lot of the income and their assets that they had accumulated. And we were doing, we did a $700,000 week selling a $97 product. in September of 2008. So, we were sort of like the poster child of how to create a different reality despite what's going on around you. And that was the beginning of it. And so, the more I got into doing this work, the more I realized it was something that really made my heart sing, that really fulfills me. So every day I am exceptionally grateful that I can, get out of bed knowing that in that day I will be fulfilled, I'll be doing something meaningful, and I'll be changing somebody's life. And I don't think you can get much better than that.
Yeah, and I bet you used mind movies yourself to create the life you envisioned for yourself, right?
All the time. Yes, during that launch, we had a specific mind movie for the launch, talking about, the type of customers that we were attracting, how many customers, how big our business would be, the respect from our peers, what our life was going to be like once it was such a great success. And we watched it every single day to make sure that we were on top of it, and we could see and taste this new reality, which I think is helped. Especially, there was a lot of things that went wrong in that launch, with our account being frozen and our email company closing down our account, and a whole bunch of different things going wrong. And any one of those things could have derailed us and really shot us off the success that we had. But we watched that mind movie every single day. We knew where we were going to end up. And so when we hit those tough challenges, it really helped us to keep moving through that, because we were so determined to get to the end. And even now, every year I make a new mind movie for the year, and then I have certain different mind movies for different life areas that I also do as well, or different projects that I'm working on. Because I truly do believe it is a very powerful tool to be able to help us, not just be able to see ourselves in this future we want to create, but to feel what it's like to be there. And the emotion that we feel while we're visualizing is kind of like the secret sauce. It's the thing that really starts to activate those visualizations.
Yeah, and speaking about the secret sauce, for those who never heard about mind movies before, can you tell us a little more about what actually a mind movie is exactly and how it works, its magic?
Yeah, well, in its purest form, it is a visualization tool. So, back in the day, most people would create a vision board. So, you'd cut out photos of magazines of the car you want to drive, or the house, or the holidays. And then when you put that up on the wall and you'd look at these pictures, it'd help make it easier for you to put yourself, on that holiday or in that car. But with a mind movie, we're combining, words like affirmations that are describing this future as if it's already happening now. And we're describing things like, what our goal is, what life is going to look like once we get there, why we're actually doing this, because that keeps us motivated in this, that burning fuel to keep us going when the going gets tough. Actions that we need to take, and who we need to be able to become this wealthy, healthy, loving person. So when we can describe all of that in words, then enhance it with the pictures or the images that help to really bring that to life. Then add the music, which, if you choose a song that truly makes your heart sing and really just, really blows your hair back and invokes an emotion anyway, yes. When you combine it with your dreams in these photos, what you're doing is really creating a powerful tool so that when you watch this, you feel what it's like to already be there. It's easy for you to see yourself in this new future. And the more often we can do that, the more often we're tricking our subconscious mind into thinking that this is our reality. And so what it does is it starts to change our thoughts to be more in alignment with that. We automatically start to change our actions. It's easier for us to do, the work that we might have procrastinated on before, because we truly believe, and it keeps building our belief, that, we can create this reality. So it's, and the cool thing about a mind movie is that you can, download it to your phone or to your tablet or your computer so that it's with you all the time. So every time you need that little injection of motivation or focus, or you're procrastinating and thinking, should I do this? Then you just play your mind movie, and it really gives you that extra energy to be able to do what it is that you need to do.
Yes, I have mine on my phone, and I watch it, and it works, and I just love it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to change, which most of the times is the motivation to make a mind movie, for example, Many of us struggle with resisting actually the change that we so much desire, and that kind of gets in the way of this true and beautiful intention that we actually had for our decision. Why is that, out of your perspective, that it's often so hard to change, even though this change is something that we desire so much?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we're fighting here that make it really difficult. One is our biology. So what we find is that when we think about, say, creating wealth or health or a relationship or whatever that is, that every time we go to start taking action in that direction, we have this little voice in our head that sometimes can be disguised as common sense or disguised as that little voice that's trying to keep you safe, that keeps telling you all the reasons why you can't do that. Now, this is what we call our negative programming or our limiting beliefs. These are formed normally around between the ages of 2 and 6, when we're in predominantly theta brainwave activity. So at this part of our development, it's like we're little human sponges. And so what we're doing is observing the behavior of our parents, of our siblings, of our teachers, everyone around us, so we can figure out how to think, feel, and act with all the important things in life. This is when we form our value of ourselves, our self-image, money. When we look at our parents and how they model love, that's how we pick up all our programming and our beliefs about what love is, or what money is, or what health is. And so that gets stored into our subconscious mind. It's like a little card, like an index card is being stored in there. So then as we're getting older and we start to move, towards, or, as an adult, we have these conscious thoughts of, I want to create wealth, or I want to be in a healthy relationship. What happens is the mind goes back to these index cards in the subconscious mind and goes, no, actually you don't want that, because what you truly believe is this, right? Is that money doesn't grow on trees, and that, you have to work really hard for money. And so what that does is it sabotages us, and sometimes we're aware of these thoughts as they come up for us, and a lot of the times we're not. Because they're so deep-rooted. And for some of us, we've been thinking them for like 40 years. So they're such a natural part of our thinking process that we don't realize that they're working against us, because we think that they're thoughts that are keeping us safe, and trying to keep us, in the status quo, which is exactly what they are doing. So we've got these beliefs that we need to overcome. We need to figure out what these thoughts are. Once we're starting to move towards a goal, it's a great idea to start writing down, get a pen and paper, or use the notes app on your phone, and just take a note. Write down all the thoughts you have, whether they're positive or negative. Because the thing is, you may look at this list of thoughts at the end of a couple of days and go, see, I thought that thought was going to try to, was trying to help me, but I see now that it's actually working against the result that I want to get. So getting them out of our mind and getting them onto paper is really cathartic. But once you do that and you can acknowledge them, that's when you go, okay, well, these are thoughts that I'm thinking, they're not serving me anymore. So what are the thoughts that I do want to think? How do I need to change my thoughts? Who do I need to be able to step into this brand new reality that I want to create? So now you have a choice, and then when you can choose those thoughts, and you add them to a mind movie or add them to your list of affirmations, and you actually see yourself operating from these new thoughts, these new thought paradigms, and seeing the difference in the results or the outcomes that you have in your life, it makes it easier for you to step into those new behavior patterns. Now, the other thing that we're working against is, like I was saying before, our biology. So these thoughts that we think repetitively, day after day, all have an emotion attached to them. And every emotion that we feel has a certain chemical makeup. So when we're used to thinking thoughts of frustration or helplessness, that chemical is then fed through to the cells in our body, and the cells in our body get a little addicted to that little chemical cocktail. We're like, okay, this is what we're used to. We're used to feeling helpless and frustrated. This is good. But then when we start to do work like, working with mind movies or any kind of, law of attraction or personal development work, we start to, tip the apple cart, and the body's going, whoa, wait a minute, what's this happy chemical? I don't know if I like this. I'm not used to it. I want the other one. I'm addicted to the other chemical. Yeah. And so you go through this, this uncomfortableness in your body, and it's a full physical reaction because your body's going, no, I want the other thing, I want the other chemical, that's what I'm addicted to. So, you know, we have this, it feels difficult, it feels uncomfortable, it feels, you know, hard at first, but if we persevere and keep moving forward, then we start to create something amazing.
Yeah, and this actually means that feeling uncomfortable is a good sign.
Yes, if we're feeling fear, it's also a good sign. Fear is good because fear means that you've set yourself a goal that's big enough and hairy enough to really step outside your comfort zone, and that's where the magic starts, when we step outside our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. And you know, actually, your book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams, helped me to understand all this because it describes so beautifully how the main character, Catherine, turns her life around and becomes very successful and happy and satisfied with herself and her life. And I think your book is actually a handbook on the law of attraction. And I learned a lot from it. And so I would like to ask you if you can expand a little on what actually is the law of attraction and how does it work?
Yeah, so in its essence, the law of attraction is a universal law. And it states that whatever vibration or resonance that we're sending out into the universe or out into the quantum field or whatever you'd like to call that, whatever vibration we're sending out, whatever's a vibrational match to that vibration is then attracted back to us. So how does that work in trying to manifest or create something that we want? How that works is that we have, you know, when we're thinking certain thoughts, so let's say that we start to adopt new thoughts. We're having these visualizations, we're seeing ourselves and we're feeling what it's like. Now, the repetition of the visualization is creating new thoughts that travel along neural pathways in our brain. Mm-hmm. So it's replacing these old thoughts. So we've got these new thoughts. These new thoughts, in turn, also change our actions. So now it's easier, like I said before, for us to do what we need to do to create this. Now, when we're also feeling the emotion or the feelings of what it's like to already be there, emotion is energy, it's vibration. So when we're feeling, acting, thinking, all in alignment with this new future that we want to create, we are vibrating or resonating at a certain frequency. And that frequency is what's going out into the universe. So then what we need, like those chance meetings or that unusual phone call or, you know, meeting someone in the coffee shop or getting the job interview or getting the raise that you wanted, all these things start to show up because they are in alignment with the frequency that we're sending out into the universe. So in its basic form, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you saying one time that it's important then to take action on it.
Well, the thing is, the most beautiful visualizations on the planet won't help you if you don't get off the couch. So, you know, you kind of have to get your butt moving.
This is right.
That's right. And you know what? And here's the thing: like a lot of people go, "But what if I start in the wrong direction? Now, how do I know this is the right decision to make? How do I know this is the right direction to take?" And the thing is, there's no such thing as the wrong direction or the wrong action, because every road will lead to your end result. You know, like for example, and the thing is, some of the times we assume that we know how it's going to happen. That's not really our job. That's the universe's job to provide how. Our job is just to be very clear about where the end result's going to be and just to start taking any kind of action in that direction so that we can start to create momentum. So, you know, for example, when I look at my life now and I go, okay, well, I get to live this incredible life. I'm, you know, financially stable. My life has meaning, it has purpose, I'm helping people around the world, I get to hang out with people like Jack Canfield and Lisa Nichols and, you know, these are my crew, like this is fantastic, like how did I get here? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you know, what I visioned for myself, like back before our friend approached us with the idea of setting up the website, I was actually involved in another type of business, which was a network marketing business. So when I wrote out all the affirmations and how I wanted my life to be, I'm like, I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be financially free. I want to speak on stage. I want to help people make money. I want to do something that has meaning and purpose. So, you know, this is what I wanted. And I was convinced it was that business that was going to be able to be the business vehicle to help me create that life. Now, if one day before our friend Ryan approached us with the idea of setting up the website, If someone had said to me, you know what, you're going to create something that's way more amazing than that, that's going to far exceed your expectations, and you're going to do it through the internet, I would have laughed my butt off at them, because they're like, I don't know anything about the internet. I hadn't even heard of YouTube when Ryan approached us with this idea. Glenn could hardly even turn on a computer. So it was the last thing that we thought. And when it was presented to us, we're like, wait a minute, we don't know anything about the internet, but we did recognize that Mind Movies was an amazing idea and that it could help a lot of people. And that was all we needed, to be able to step way outside our comfort zone, risk everything to be able to launch this idea to the world.
And it became so successful.
Yeah, and it's still growing.
Yeah, and I know you're very passionate about PD for kids, and the idea to share all those tools with those young persons on this planet is so important and so useful. So would you just tell us a little more about PD for kids?
Yeah, so PD for Kids is a personal development program. It's designed for middle school or primary age school kids, so 8 to 12-year-olds. And it came about because I was approached by a university in Columbia because they'd heard about Mind Movies for Kids. And they said, look, could you also create a curriculum for the teachers to teach in the classroom to complement the Mind Movies? And, of course, I said yes, and then freaked out because I had no idea how I was going to do that. But I sat down in my visualization. I was very clear about where I wanted to end up. And every time I do that visualization for the first week, I couldn't do it without crying. I was in the classroom in Columbia. I was talking to the teachers. They were crying with gratitude. The kids were just laughing and telling me how much it changed their life. It was just, I could see it. I could feel it. I was there. I could taste it. And then I come out of those visualizations and go, right, what's my next step? That's all I had, like, what is my next step? And I was able to attract a teacher who specialized in early age curriculum, who happened to be the wife of my copywriter that I had no idea she existed. I had no idea what she did for a living. And she was able to help me, get that program up and to the Colombians within 2.5 weeks so they could do the translation and start teaching it. So, even with something like that, like I said yes without any kind of plan, without any kind of, ability or technical skill to be able to do it. I just knew within my heart of hearts that the reason it was given to me was for a reason, and that I had the belief that I would be able to attract the resources that I needed to be able to make it happen, which is how that fell into place. In the US, suicide is the #1 killer of teens here. And I think that, with teenagers, if we can educate them before they become teenagers, before they start having, feeling this overwhelm and all this pressure and getting bullied and all these things, if we can teach them life skills to be able to cope with that and to be a really good human being and what that means, and how they can have some influence over their life and their reality, I think that's going to really go a long way to combating that really bad issue that we have in the US and around the world.
Yeah, I think it's a global thing.
Yeah, totally.
There's something else I would like to ask you. I'm wondering, so you are so successful and you appear so joyful and so much in your power, but still I imagine that from time to time also you get a little off balance or maybe stuck with yourself. When that happens, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I'll do anything I can to raise my vibration, to get back into my happy place. It's really important for me. I actually have a list of things that I know that if I'm, having a really stressful day, like, one of the things that's on my list is that I'll get in the car, I'll put the roof down, I'll drive somewhere along the coast with this, with the sun shining, singing to the top of my voice. That really helps to get me in a positive vibration. But that's not always practical to do that every time. Sometimes I just have a song. Like I'll play a song and I'll play it really loud and I'll dance around and get my body moving so I can get this negative energy out and just, get into like a positive vibration and just be silly. Obviously I do it with no one watching, but but I can do that and that really helps to change my state. It could be something just like I'll do a 5-minute or a 5 to 20-minute little meditation so that I'm centering myself and I'm connecting to the divine, I'm connecting to that essence of who I am so that, I'm able to clear that energy so that when I come out of it, I'm more centered, I'm more clear. Like, for example, I did a meditation before I got on the interview today because I wanted to, I really believe that when I speak like this in a forum like this, that a lot of the times, I have no plan on what I'm going to say, but I surrender to being a conduit for whatever is meant to come through. And so to be able to sort of make that surrender and to have that intention, I do a little meditation before I'll get on an interview, just so that I feel like my energy is clean and what's coming out is what's meant to come out. So, I have a list of a whole bunch of things that I will do. Sometimes it's just taking my dog Bella out for a walk along the marina. She might need to go potty, and I'll just take her out and step into a state of gratitude, for my life and where I live and who I get to hang out with and who my friends are and the love and the support that I have in my life. So, I think that gratitude is probably the easiest way to do it, but sometimes I need to be walking outside with some inspirational scenery to get me there as well.
And I heard one day that if you can't feel gratitude, you could just imagine for what you could be grateful. And I think it works. It brings you into the feeling of gratitude.
Absolutely. You could always just turn on the news and see how harrowing some people's lives really are. Look at the situation that's happening in Syria right now. Look at, imagine being thrown out of your home and not on your country and having nowhere to go and not feeling like you're welcome anywhere else. Can you imagine how harrowing that be, and how grateful that you would be that you have a house, that you have a community, that you have family around you. Sometimes just looking at some of the things that are happening on the planet right now can just give you an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
This is absolutely right. And there are always a million things to be grateful about.
Yes.
I would like to ask you about intuition. Intuition seems to me something that is kind of elusive and fleeting. You have to catch it when it comes. So how do you recognize intuition, and how do you get a hold on it before it's gone again?
Well, I make a practice of tapping into my intuition every day. We can hope that intuition comes to us, or we can have a daily practice in which it really helps to invoke intuition. And part of that, it doesn't have to be anything technical or anything too hard. Most of it really just requires you being quiet, so sitting still or being quiet with your thoughts, and then just asking a question. Whatever that question is, what are my next steps? What do I need to do next? Where do I want to go? What is it that I want from my life? Whatever question that is. And once you ask the question, you want to sit there quietly until you hear the answer. Because sometimes we ask the question, if it doesn't come to us in the first 1 or 2 minutes, we're just like, this is not working. I can't catch my intuition. But the thing is, we have to sit there a little longer. That's why, in the mornings as I'm waking up, I'll be asking myself a question before I've even opened my eyes. I spoke before about how when we're quite young, we're in theta brainwave activity and we're like sponges. But we're also very connected. At theta, we're very connected to the quantum field. So as we're waking up and going to sleep, we actually go into theta before we go, into our sleep mode. So while I'm still in theta, I'll ask the question and just lay in bed long enough to be able to hear an answer or wait for an answer. And I've learned that even though the answers that come through sometimes are pretty kooky and maybe a little bit out there, that I trust the messages that are coming through. And I think the more that we do that, the more easier it is for us to tap into our intuition, because it's easier for it to come through. Often, we'll get an idea and we go, that's too crazy, no way. That just must be my brain working, working funny today. But, I think that the more that we trust it and that we take action on it, the easier it is for us to come through to us.
Yeah, and if I got it right, it's actually about patience, trust, and then the courage to take action.
Yeah, and also being quiet long enough to hear the answer.
Yes, that's right. And I want to ask you one last question. And I'm curious about the answer. And it is, if you could connect with one person or personality, no matter if alive or if really existing, who would it be and what would you say or ask?
It would be Nelson Mandela. And I would ask him how he was able to stay in a positive mindset and be able to show respect and love to his jailers for the length of time that he did. I think in that situation, it would be easy for any human being to slip into despair, and I'm sure that he had moments of it. But for him to come out of that after, what was it, 27 years or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, an incredible amount of time. But that whole time to be able to keep his sanity, to be able to keep his humanity, to be able to, stay the course with his core values and his morals and his beliefs, and then to be triumphant after all that length of time. I wonder what it took for him to be able to do that, and that's what I would like to know.
Yeah, it's really a pity that we cannot ask him anymore.
I'm sure it's written somewhere. I haven't thought it out, but to be able to be in his energy and in his space and ask that question would be incredible.
Yes. Natalie, thank you so much for giving us company today and sharing so many precious insights with us.
It's made my absolute pleasure. You're a fantastic interviewer, Nina. It's been a great time. I've had a great time.
Thank you so much, Natalie. And dear listeners, you will find all the important information about Natalie below this interview, so no worries. There's also a link to dive straight into Mind Movies, Natalie's powerful visualization tool. And is there anything else, Natalie, you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
No, I think that there's two ingredients that I think are quite often overlooked as the difference between people who have the reality that they want or the life that they want and those that don't. And those two ingredients are expectation and belief. And I believe that when you can do these visualizations every day, you don't necessarily have to watch a mind movie, but obviously they make it much easier for you. But if you can put yourself in your mind every day in this future that you want, you start to expect things to fall into place for you, and you believe that you can create this future. And when you have those two ingredients, the world is your oyster.
Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for listening. Bye.